Hello and welcome to our show, and we have another great show for you tonight. I'm Dale Matthews, here's Bill Hunker, and also Mike Jones, not necessarily in that order. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Dale.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Bill.
So we're going to talk tonight about the fire standards, a story you've never heard before, but we've got news about the fire standards, these standards that have been proposed mostly by Cheryl Walker together with the Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs Association, and they've been working on this thing for 20 years, and now it's suddenly an urgent matter that must be done immediately. There are a lot of questions about it, and it's going to end up being an ordinance unless they back off completely. Cheryl's not going to back off completely. And it reminds a number of us about the junk ordinances that Cheryl was pushing also. So we're going to see. First of all, why don't we let Cheryl have her say right after we hear what these fellows say about from County Fire and Rescue, and they're out in Merlin. Go ahead, fellas, take it away.
Now, wait a minute. Is it true what Keith Eck just told everybody? We have Dan Trader from Merlin-based County Fire and Rescue right here. Dan, was your company involved at all in version 1 or version 2 of these new standards?
No.
Should it be a surprise to him that you weren't involved at all in this?
No, it would not be a surprise. I have made it clear to him on a conversation that we had approximately 2 weeks ago, and there's no question about what our position is with County Fire. And if there is, my phone's always open.
They sat right there in the meetings. They've been there, and they have provided information that we have considered, and some has been incorporated, as we have for all of the others. And Mr. Matthews, you can shake your head no all you want to, but you don't know all of it. In fact, you don't know much. So anyway, when it comes to a draft, that's what it is. That's why we put a draft out there. We know that there has to be input from the people who are going to be working with them. This board is about public safety, and that's the only motivation for this ordinance. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner, no comments.
Okay. No comments.
Yeah, that's a wise move.
He always has comments. He had no comments for the rest of that meeting. I get this feeling that Simon's probably being smart and backing off of this subject just like he did with the junk ordinances that he originated.
I was going to say, he knows a junk ordinance when he sees one.
Oh, that's well put, yeah. So go ahead, Bill.
No, I was I think that's true what Mike just said. He knows when a junk ordinance is on its way.
So I was disappointed in the new reporter who's covering county issues at the Courier. I kind of liked the guy, and I talked to him a little bit, and I said, will you be coming up with 2 sources for a quote for stories? And he said, yes, I will. You know, I'm like, well, of course. That would be unusual for the Courier now that Jim Moore is gone. So when Eder, it's like Edgar without the G. When Eder Campuzano, it's not Italian, it's Spanish, whatever. When he reported what Keith Heck had to say about this subject, he printed what Keith Heck had to say. Now, I'd gotten up at a meeting. We're going to show you another time because we've got a lot to do tonight. I'd gotten up at the weekly business session and said, you know, Simon doesn't want to answer who wrote this thing, so I'll tell you. Version 0, the initial version from a long time ago, was written by Steve Rich, who was legal counsel at that moment. And then version 1 was written by Lang Johnson, who's with who used to be with Rural Metro, and now he's with the Fire Chiefs Association, and almost certainly involving also Cheryl Walker. She didn't deny it. And I said, and version 2, the one that we're looking at right now, was written by Wally Hicks, our current attorney for the county. Now, this is real important. This may be one of the most important things we tell you in this show tonight. This is news. Just found out about it today. So I called Eder and I said, I'm the one that said it. if you're going to get two people on a quote, you might talk to me, because nobody would know about this if I hadn't said something at the meeting. Big deal, but I mean, somebody's got to tell you what's going on. It's not going to be in the Courier. And I said, and you could also check with Wally Hicks, because what Keith Eck told the Courier was, I'm going to paraphrase, we have the exact quote, and we mentioned it last night, I think it was. It's ridiculous to say that Wally Hicks was involved in this, because of course he wasn't. And some people just will say just about anything, and that's why we laugh at them. That's a big paraphrase, but I mean basically, you don't need to pay attention to them because it's totally false. Wally Hicks was not involved in this. It wasn't true. It's not true. It wasn't true. It was not true. So I called Eder and I said, Eder, my source is Wally Hicks. Why didn't you talk to him or talk to me? Easily done. So apparently what happened next was he did try to call Wally Hicks. And here's what Wally told me today. He's not allowed to answer because Keith Eck has decided that he's the only source of information for these stories for the county. What?
Oh my.
They've never done that before, not ever. So if you want to find out if your county official is being truthful, you can't find out because he talked with another elected official, Wally Hicks, and warned him not to tell people whether he did or did not write the second version of this ordinance. How do you feel about that?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Talk about censorship.
Mike?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting there. Kind of makes you wonder what they're up to.
It surely doesn't add anything to their luster of their honesty. You recall, okay, you're tired of hearing about it, but when I got up and I said, well, Simon Hare did not tell the truth about this, and here's the proof. And I started to play it back, and Simon cut the power. And said, that's not helpful to show people what I said. Well, he had lied, and he didn't want it confirmed. Now, here's Keith Eck lying about this and saying that Wally Hicks was not involved. And so I see Wally Hicks today in the hallway, and I said, what's up with this? Well, as it turns out, he's been ordered. He's an elected official. He's been ordered by Keith Eck not to talk to people about this and confirm that Keith Eck did not tell the truth. That's the bottom line.
Oh, boy.
So how do you feel about that, everybody? All of our viewers, there's certainly a way to be sure that nobody hears anything but what Keith Eck has. And why Keith Eck? Well, one, he's the chair, but it was Cheryl Walker who insisted that Keith Eck run with this because why? Because Keith will tell you anything that he wants to and be adamant about it. No, absolutely not. No, Wally Hicks. Hey. Keith,
well,
sorry,
why is it necessary for him to spin the story? And isn't it a little silly of them to be going, you can't be second guessing this stuff. It's a capital DRAFT, and then on the other hand, he's the guy spinning the thing, and he's telling people that I'm the only guy who can spin it. I mean, if you want evidence that would lead you to be suspicious, this is it.
Yeah. Well, part of it has to center back on this thing. When I think I was the first person to bring this up, and I said it, and Keith was like, oh, like they often do. These citizens, especially Dale Matthews, this is just ridiculous. You can just safely not pay attention to anything he's telling you. And then in the next meeting, several people got up, and they asked about it. And Keith was like, well, he was a little less adamant about it. Well, maybe there's something, but it still is nothing. Don't worry, it's nothing. And then the next one, now Cheryl's adding in, and more people are speaking about it. Well, it's still nothing, but maybe there's something, but it's really nothing, and you can safely go back to sleep. Well, that's not working out so well. And so now one way of interpreting is to put a gag order on an elected official. Don't confirm that he told the Courier a lie. Don't confirm that now, Wally. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, some of this may well have been complicated by the letter.
No. So we received a letter. Now, we received it. So I get a letter from a law firm. Oh no, what's this, right? Who knows? And it's sent to me and Bad County, and it's also sent to the courier. So I'm thinking, well, at least there's a chance that the courier is going to tell you what this letter says, because it's from this law firm over my shoulder, and we're going to read the letter to you. Oh, brother. They don't, the couriers has not printed this. Why have they not printed it or even said that there was a letter? Because these guys are representing those guys, and these guys are lawyers, and these guys are telling you something that's diametrically opposed to what the county commissioners are telling you. You just heard them say that, okay?
Oh.
So we are going to read to you the letter, and we're going to make it entertaining. There'll be sock puppets. There'll be, impressions. He's going to put on a funny nose. Oh, I see that he already has. Hello, Mike.
Yes. I was going to do it in a voice, but I decided that would be, this is serious business here, so.
It is. Okay, now, sometimes we have a little bit of fun, but we're going to cut back on the fun, so you don't need to worry about fun anymore. Great. Okay, this letter is from Watkinson Laird Rubenstein, and it was sent October 5th. It was sent to Wally Hicks. Oh, boy, they're going to hate us reading this. Josephine County Legal Counsel and the courthouse in Grants Pass. Dear Counselor Hicks, regarding proposed county fire franchise ordinance, second draft. Mike?
Okay. As you know, I have been retained by County Fire and Security, Inc., hereafter County Fire, to review the proposed county franchise ordinance and advise them on its content. This letter follows our recent brief telephone conversations and exchange of emails on the issues. I understand that a public meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday, October 13th, 2015, to discuss the matter. Please include this letter in the public record of that meeting. However, it is not our intent to make this matter unduly contentious. So please consider this letter as our good faith effort to address our elected representatives in a constructive fashion on a matter of individual and public concern.
Let me begin by saying that County Fire and its owners and representatives are all responsible county citizens and do not wish to challenge or undermine any county activity that is legitimately designed and implemented in the best interests of all county residents. As a former county council, I certainly understand the role of the commissioners in protecting the greater public interest, as well as exploring all potential revenue sources, especially in these difficult economic times.
However, it is our view the subject ordinance as presently drafted goes well beyond the foregoing valid government objectives. In essence, we see the document as discriminatory, politically motivated, anti-competitive, factually and legally deficient, and constitutionally defective. These conclusions are supported by the following analysis and arguments. Don't need to read the numbers, Mike.
Okay. We believe the ordinance is discriminatory on its face because although it is purportedly directed to the two privately owned fire protection companies, its stringent regulatory standards and financial terms will have a disproportionately adverse effect upon County Fire as the fledgling company with fewer resources to comply.
We believe the ordinance is politically motivated and anti-competitive because the source of the ordinance, the Executive Board of the Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs Association, suggests a political anti-competitive motivation. County Fire's competitive fee structure directly competes for customers with other private and public fire protection agencies on the fringes of their present boundaries as well as their future potential expansion areas.
We further believe the ordinance is politically motivated because we are informed that at least one present county commissioner may have a personal interest favoring the protection of rural metros' economic interests, i.e., emergency medical dispatch decisions and 911 liaison.
Sounds like Cheryl Walker.
It sure does.
We believe the ordinance is factually and legally deficient because, A, it is overly broad and ambiguous in several respects, i.e. failure to separate out fire protection services from security protection services, failure to define any key terms such as franchisee and structural fire protection services, and allowing the board to impose a franchise fee in their broad discretion with no standards or parameters as to the amount or usage.
The imposition of the proposed franchise fee recites no rational relationship to the actual cost of regulation as required by the recent Oregon Supreme Court case of Rogue Valley Sewer Services versus the City of Phoenix, which was decided on July 16, 2015. This case makes it very clear that the fee must be reasonable and used only for appropriate regulatory purposes, i.e. to either regulate or benefit the party upon whom it is imposed.
The overall terms of regulation are so onerous as to suggest an unwarranted, unlawful interference with private business relations as recognized and protected rights of all businesses in Oregon.
The inherent authority of the board to regulate a private fire company under its charter authority to this extent is questionable. If allowed, where do we draw the line? Fast food restaurants, taxi cabs, river rafting companies, shuttle services, hunting and fishing guides, tour buses?
There has been no documented factual need for these fees and regulations. No significant documented complaints of inadequate equipment, training, service, or facilities. No serious loss of property or life as a result of same, which would compel such stringent regulation.
County Fire and Security provides both fire protection and property security services. While the issue of state preclusion is unclear as to the former, regulation of the latter being property security services, that's my words, by the county is clearly preempted by state law. See ORS 203-090 with reference to ORS 181-870 and etc.
The ordinance fails to comply with the express terms of the county charter in several respects as set forth below.
We believe the ordinance violates the county charter because the Section 19 effective date of the ordinance does not comply with Section 29.5 of the county charter, which requires any proposed fee to be submitted to the voters for approval.
Well, isn't that special?
That's not what the letter says.
No, that isn't, but it's funny because if you reflect back on the charter episodes, we covered all of this. So the ordinance fails to comply with the express terms of the... Okay, wait a minute. Do you... no, Bill just said, so now it's...
Yes, he
Dale.
did. Okay,
I'm sorry.
I was waiting. That's all right. Section 29.1 of the charter, due process, just compensation, dovetails with the U.S. Constitution and all rights protected thereunder.
C. 29.2, no county official may pass any ordinance which violates the charter.
And D, Section 29.21, prohibits ex post facto laws. And then parens, aren't we grandfathered?
And then E, Section 29.3, protects all constitutional rights.
F, Section 29.6.1, voter approval of all fees required. These guys would have done well to watch our episodes on the charter, because they'd known that the commissioners threw all of these out the window a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
With the help of Steve Rich.
Yeah, that's right. Section G, Section 2.6, Board shall not circumvent rights of voter approval.
H, Section 29.7, they're talking about the charter, no business income taxes allowed. Failure to establish rational fees and designate how it's to be expended may result in it becoming a tax.
Oh.
We believe that ordinance may be constitutionally defective because A, those applicable sections of the charter set forth above.
And B, the terms of the ordinance, including the fees, regulation standards, insurance, and so forth, are so onerous as to constitute a permissible taking under Oregon and federal constitutions.
It would be an impermissible taking.
I'm sorry, that is correct.
All right. If the above sections of the charter are deemed elements of the process, then failure to comply becomes an unconstitutional taking.
The foregoing is not intended to be exhaustive, and our further review and research may result in additional concerns. However, our basic position is that the ordinance in its present form will simply not pass muster and should either be substantially revised or tabled. Dan Trader from County Fire will attend the meeting on the 13th. I will not attend. However, you may, of course, call me to discuss any aspect of this letter.
And thank you for your attention. Very truly, Dwayne William Schultz in the Grants Pass office.
And copies were sent to their client of this law firm, to the Daily Courier, and to badcounty.com.
Well, that's very interesting. I wonder how seriously the commissioners are going to take the, I'm actually glad that the charter is being tested here. Because yes. They've sort of like, we don't even need to worry about that. Oh, I think that means that we get to do nothing. Yeah. That kind of stuff just drives me crazy. And now they're going to have to make a decision on it, and they're going to have to make a decision with somebody looking at them, going, "Hey, what about this?" And there's some legal culpability.
Keith Eck has said, first, this means absolutely nothing, ha, ha, ha. And second, well, it means a little something, but not what you think it means, ha, ha. And then Cheryl Walker chimed in, well, you obviously don't know anything. And yes. Now it looks like now they're so risk adverse. Now you've got a law firm involved. You know what? It's turning out to be just stop laughing at the citizens, and would you please, as we tried to help you, and even Simon tried to help on the other ordinance, you need to hold off a little bit and think. And this is only a first blush response from these guys. There's other stuff that we've seen and we've mentioned at these meetings, like, don't tell us the details, or in the appendix. There's no appendix.
Well, we were watching the other day, one of these videos, and Wally Hicks is clearly in there going, well, this may be perceived as us being anti-competitive or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what the quote was.
That's what he said. Yep.
But so he knew how this was going to be received, and I guess they were just hoping against hope that the other people would just lay down and take whatever they were going to throw at him. I'm very encouraged to see this kind of pushback.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm glad it is sitting on some of its legs on the charter, so we can see how that's, number one, being perceived, number two, actually being enforced or reacted, and number three, how will the citizens uphold and look at the charter and say, just a minute, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. What are you doing?
Well, okay, so many times on all these, it's hard to tell what's going on because there's so much undergrowth. I don't know what opinion to have. I totally understand about that. I mean, you might listen to some of the things that people are saying that have really looked into it, because it's obvious that Cheryl Walker, for example, isn't looking at the details. Why would they put out a document without an appendix and say, look at the appendix? Okay, but it's also important, as I mentioned at the city council meeting last night, yeah, because it's all about me. Shut up, Dale. I mentioned to him, I said, look, I don't think that people understood. I don't think that companies that might consider moving to Grants Pass realize that after people have voted in favor of a property tax, that you can just revoke their vote instantly at a city council meeting. Really? Did you guys know that? And so the same thing here. I mean, if these commissioners are going to bring something forward and you're not quite sure where it stands, well, then you need to look at the details and say, they can do that?
Well, you know what's weird here is that if you got big huevos and you decide that you're going to do something and no one challenges you legally on it, well, then you win. But maybe at some point down the road, somebody gets mad because, hey, I wanted that levy on here. And, what happens if they find some help like County Fire did that's willing to, throw a monkey wrench into the works there? You might get some backing up on some of this stuff. I tend to think that the county wants to avoid anything that's going to dip into their slush fund at all. So, the money that they get to spend, I'm not saying that they're doing slush fundy sort of things. I'm just saying that their pool of available cash is quite small, and I'm sure that they don't want to give, 100,000 of it away to fight this thing. So,
have they learned a new lesson from the junk ordinances? No, because we got up, a bunch of us got up. Well, it doesn't. Remember what Cheryl Walker, yesterday Cheryl Walker says, well, I get some kind of email from someone, I'm not going to mention their name. Well, of course not. It's like those thousands of emails she was getting in favor of, I'm exaggerating, of the junk ordinances. But I'll just tell you, they said, well, how come you're not doing this and this? And, it was an example of how stupid the citizens are and how brilliant Cheryl Walker is. All of her stories seem to have that same conclusion. And she was saying at the time of the junk ordinances, why, everywhere I go, people are carrying me around on their shoulders. I'm exaggerating. And they just all love this. Well, that was proven to be mathematically impossible.
What's all you have to do is look at the record. The record. I mean, let's think of Cheryl Walker and what she's accomplished over her. I mean, this is like talking about Hillary Clinton's accomplishments or something.
Now, how are we going to figure out what she's accomplished? Mike, we can't figure out what she's accomplished. This would take the rest of the dang show.
Well, but the point that I'm saying is that this woman's intuition is not very good in terms of the political moves that she has made since she's been a commissioner. And so, this just seems like it's another one of those things. Now, I understand. I believe in my heart of hearts here, what's going on is the pursuit of these franchise fees. That's what I believe is happening here. Case closed. And
I second that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's power and money, but okay.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but with the more money, you then get to hand out little favors. And you're right. To favor one company over another, or to set up exclusivity as to certain districts or zones or whatever. You can smell that coming. They say, oh no, we're not going to set fees, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. I've been down this road before.
They're going to do that.
Seen this movie.
I'm not expecting that all of you are going to look through this thing. Now, you could if you want to, but we're telling you what we read. And it's only 12 pages, but we're telling you what we're reading. And it's got as many goofy things in it, exactly the same number, generally speaking, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
as the junk ordinances. And that was filled full of all kinds of, well, wait a minute, what about this? Well, this doesn't make any sense. Well, this, you're not defining your terms. I don't mean down to the nitpickiest points. I just mean it doesn't make any dang sense.
Right.
It doesn't.
Well, bottom line is that the county, there's really not much that the county can do and come out of this looking good. They already know that there's going to be, they're coming into this with the suspicion that they are performing anti-competitively, and then they get hit with this. Now, what happens if they fight back against this? They're fighting back against the little guy, exactly the opposite of the impression that they want to put out there. So this is all bad PR for the county.
Well, they
It's
can
not
reach
a good
down
thing.
into the deep reserve they have of public confidence.
Yes, right. Yes, spend some more of their political capital, maybe.
It's like showing up at the poker table and you don't have any chips and you don't have any cards.
And you're all in.
You're all in.
What? No. Look, all right.
Well, you know,
I have my opinion, but Mike and Bill, start with Bill. Bill, what's the smartest thing for the commissioners to do at this exact moment? What should they do, Bill?
table it. They should
Mike.
it just goes away.
Mike.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that this is just a bad idea, and listen, sometimes you should get the message that that's what's going on here, and back it up. Back it up, because this is not going to work for you. The franchise. Listen, we talked about this yesterday. If you're going to do this, have a list of requirements, and then you go, can you guys meet this? Okay, show us your documentation shows you're meeting these requirements. Just like a one-page thing, boom, 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 bullet-pointed stuff. And the other company, matches that. They get in there, okay, we're all done here. Okay, now you pay a franchise fee of a certain amount to do business in the county. Okay.
I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either, but that would be a lot cleaner than what they have. This has too many things in it, too many possibilities for influence peddling, too many possibilities for crony capitalism, too many possibilities of these pay to play in certain districts or whatever. And anytime you're going to give one company exclusivity in an area, those rates are going to go up for those people because they don't have another choice. So
they should table this and back up from this and just say, okay, we're going to hold this for another day, hopefully when two of them are safely out of office. They should not pursue this, not because ordinances can never be made. What? We're not fools. Of course ordinances can be made. But these fools can't make ordinances and do it right. They've proven that again and again and again. They're just the wrong people. They should stick with, it's a ribbon-cutting ceremony and stuff like that. That's non-controversial. I mean, we went through the list for you. Like people say, please tell the list again on your show. There's a long list of stuff that they really screwed up. And they don't have any reserve of public confidence. Even the city council is laughing at them at their public meetings. These guys have nothing going for them. This is the wrong time for any kind of reaching down and we'll get the citizens behind us. You're not going to get the citizens behind you.
Yeah.
We keep telling you that these things are flawed, and you keep saying, but you can trust us, and then you end up doing something like, we never met on this subject, and then we play the tape of the meeting on the subject the day before, or Wally Hicks was not involved, and then we know that Wally Hicks was involved. Oh, well, we're going to solve that problem by putting a news blackout on who was involved. What the heck? That's not going to help. It makes you look guilty. Why?
Well,
because you are guilty.
Go
ahead.
Because this thing looks like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because the thing looks like a no-brainer, you can pretty well count on, because this is what we've become accustomed to, that they're going to be 180 out from this type of thinking. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And we've got going on 3 years of past behavior, so we know where they're coming from. I wanted to add, Mike, to your, if there's a franchise fee, someone brought up the other day that let's say the 2 garbage collection entities that we have in the county are given an area. They don't cross lines to pick up other people's garbage. They are not allowed to. That would be a misdemeanor for the ruling that they had signed, saying, no, I will only work in this area. Okay, I can see where they can work that out. Garbage is not anything that's life and death on any given day. But you take fire and give them districts and say, okay, I bought this district, you can't cross this line. All of a sudden, what's the workaround for anybody backing other people up? Just a minute, you crossed over, it's my territory. Yeah. Now the public is in jeopardy because the city councilors are making goofy rules.
Well, now, obviously, Cheryl Walker can come. Well, we never meant that. Now, we brought it up. She had her opportunity to say, no, you're entirely wrong. That's a misinterpretation. Right. It's only a misinterpretation because we have to guess at so much of what they're talking about because they haven't been clear. Remember when they had the meeting, let's keep it purposely vague? All right, they're being purposely vague on this, and she could at any point say, well, it doesn't really mean that now. It never meant that, or it doesn't mean that now.
Yeah, and when she ends up talking, they've wanted to jump on this idea that we think that this 12 pages is about a single franchise. Oh, no, we're not going to do a single franchise. But as soon as you have more than one franchise in the county, you have got lines drawn on that county map on who just paid for what. And once those lines are on there, now what do you do about backup, about extra? Oh, well, in this case, we change it. Oh, well, we were in a hurry or somebody didn't have their jacket on. So all of that comes into play once you have 2 entities. And so they've wanted to holler at us saying, well, you think it's one. No, I think the problem is franchisees, where people are paying money, as you say, Mike, pay to play. And then it's in the public's. We take the hit if they argue over coming to our fire. I mean, we're the ones that are in jeopardy,
So you also need to look at the tactics of this kind of thing. If they are, as Simon Harris said in the past, the most transparent county in the entire world, then why are you laughing at citizens who bring this forward, and then you laugh less and less and less because we're not wrong? Number 2 is, how come we don't know whether this is one area, many areas, one franchise? Oh, you're saying that nobody said we think that you're trying to that it doesn't say in the document that we only want one. Nobody ever said that. Well, you're saying that it says in the document that it's going to be that. No, nobody has said that. Well, you're not counting the forest fires. This isn't about forest fires. They keep changing the subject.
Cheryl said yesterday, it seemed pretty clear that she said yesterday that there wasn't going to be exclusivity and there wasn't going to be any price fixing. Okay. The way the draft is written, that is not clear at all. And of course, with the missing appendix, which I guess maybe it ruptured and had to be removed.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
But I don't know. You can't tell by looking at that. When I've read through it, and I just am very suspicious because of my past experience with these guys. So I see conspiracy around every corner, and they're going to have to get over that hurdle. It is their trust deficit that has caused this.
Now,
this is why you look at this and see that.
Let me add in something about that. They have tried in the past. This didn't work out very well. Where these 3 county commissioners, it just turns out it just this time we've got 3 of them. There used to be 1, there'd sometimes be 2, now we have 3. Well, it's because of the national mood. It's not because of any national mood. Well, everybody's question. No, it's not because of everybody. It's because of you specifically. Because we've seen you do this in the past. We've caught each of them in an individual out and out, complete, verifiable lie. There's no other word for it. It's not a nice word, but there's no other word. I never said that, and we show the tape of them saying that. I never did that. We show the tape of them doing that. I never meant that, and then we show them. So look, because it's them individually. When Mike says, gee, I really have questions, and it might be a conspiracy, it's not just based on some general, chemtrails kind of logic. What this is about is we've caught them in the past. We're the only ones who've caught them. We've shown it to you. You've seen it with your own eyes, and the Courier's decided not to print it. Now,
well,
what's happening?
There's nothing to stop these guys to say, hey, listen, why don't we get together with you guys? Why don't we come on your show and explain this thing out in detail? They could certainly do that. They could contact the paper and say, hey, listen, let's have a sit down, and we want everybody to understand what this is about. But they have this confrontational. They took that from the get-go. When Bill Hunker first came in there and said, hey, listen, I want to know who wrote. Oh, you don't have any right to know who wrote this. Be quiet. It's only a capital draft. Well,
they all start with a draft.
Yes, but we have the right to input on this, no matter whether it's a draft or an idea that's germinating in somebody's mind. This is the people's business, and we have the right to input on it. And so, yeah.
Don't make fun of us and call us names and say it means nothing. You don't know what you're talking about. You heard Cheryl say that. You don't know much. Really, if we don't know much and we're following it on an every single day basis, and we've got facts and we've got the documents, your documents, commissioners, and we're playing back your tapes. And so for you to say, I never said that, and then we play it and you're saying it, you don't have any credibility. Now, if you think that we don't, then just look at the tape.
Well, and to Dale's point here, they have hours every week where they could be extremely detailed and clear about all of this, about the intent of all of this. But here's the problem, is that these people have intent that they want to shield from public view. So you don't know what's going on. Why don't you just come out and say, listen, we want money, we want franchise fees, we think this is an avenue to get it. At least that's honest.
Yeah.
No, instead what they do is Keith Heck orders an elected official not to talk to anybody about this and verify that Keith didn't tell the truth. Now, if you've got no other fact at all, that one ought to be the trump card. Sorry, no political aspirations there. That should be the only thing that you need to know. If they're really on the up and up, then why is Keith insisting that he is the only source of truth in our local government?
Yeah, and what happened to this is not an editing session, Wally Hicks?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put up with it if I were Wally. I know he needs to give them advice, and if he wants to tell them stuff in executive session that he's not going to repeat, okay, they can, by the way. But if he wants to do that, fine. But why would Wally listen to, this is Wally's reputation on the line, too. I'm okay. I know what he told me, and I know what he said to me in the hallway, okay? So that's not a problem. You've now had Keith Heck tell you in a public meeting and on the newspaper, which printed nothing that we told you tonight, absolutely zero. There's nothing in there about this. So why are they knuckling under?
Yeah.
Do you think it's news that they've gotten a letter from a lawyer that's threatened them? Is that news in any town in America? Why is the Courier not reporting that? Who's blocking that? I'd like to think it's not Eder. I think it's Kevin Wittison, the editor. Well, somebody has to decide, are we going to print this letter or not? They received a copy of it. So did we. What did we do? Immediately came on here to tell you about this. Why isn't the Courier telling you what the heck's going on? What value is it to the Courier to cover up the news? Why would they do that?
I'm incredulous.
I don't want to believe that about this new guy. I don't want to believe it about the two new people replacing Jim Moore. Just tell people what's going on. They can figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So once again, we are the only source. Well, that's contentious. You know what? It is a little contentious, isn't it? Yeah, but if you want to believe every word they say, then there's going to be plenty of people running in the next election that will be business as usual. You're going to have a long list of people from which you can choose to continue this kind of thing, and you can continue your subscription to the Daily Courier, and you can just rest back and go, boy, there's nothing bad happening in our county.
Yeah, and by the way, they're lining up now. There's several new additions to the list of people that are running for that are at least prospectively running for commissioner.
We know that because Mike follows Facebook. That's one of the places to find out something. So we did our show. We told you every word of the letter. We read it back as best as we can because it wasn't written exactly to be read aloud. What we could tell. Okay. And where's everybody else? Why is nobody telling you the news? This is part of the news. And these are facts only from the point of view of the lawyer, Dwayne Schultz, for County Fire, but they're, I think, the legitimate questions. And so how come nobody's telling you any of the, maybe it's all a bunch of BS. It could be, but at least we're telling you. Why would nobody else even tell you? And what's up with, I'm going to say it once more, boy, this really gets me. What's up with Keith Heck insisting that he is the only source of honesty in our county? If you want to know what's happening in your county government, you can only talk to Keith Heck. Are you kidding me? What kind of government is that? I think you know the answer.